Hey everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel, Tara Talks Books, where we talk everything bookish. So today I'm going to be doing a video about retellings in books. So I have a variety of retellings that I will go over. Some have multiple in a category, some may only have one, but without further ado, let's get started. So the first one I'm going to start with is Beauty and the Beast retellings, and the first one I have is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. And this one follows Agnieszka, and she lives in like a valley and like a quiet village, but just on the outskirts of her village is like the forest or the woods, and it is kind of like a malevolent power or an entity. And so the dragon is a wizard who protects the village. So like every 10 years he takes a girl to be handed over him to like serve him. And then every time like the 10 years is up, the girl is free, but like you almost never see the girl again. She always leaves the town. So you don't really know what's going on in the tower, but you know that he takes a girl every 10 years, and this year he takes Agnieszka. And so it is very fantastical. I enjoyed the romance. I thought it was very a very like fun like fantasy that was like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, because obviously he's the wizard, the beast in the tower, and then you have the village girl. So the next one I have is actually a historical romance, and that one is Romancing the Duke by Tessa Dare. And so this is actually the first one in the Castles Ever After series. And Isolde is like the daughter of like a very famed author, and she grew up obviously on tales of knights and like fair maidens and obviously true love and all of that. So she's now grown older, and romance does not seem to be in her future as she sees it. So she's inherited this castle, and of course there's already somebody there. And I believe he's back from war. So he's blind from war. And so like the castle, he knows how to get around. Like he's learned it so that obviously he doesn't, run into anything or trip or fall or injure himself, because now he's learned the castle, because he, like I said, he was injured in war and became blind. So this is his castle, and it's given to her by someone else, and she's like, no, this is my castle. And so obviously they butt heads in the beginning, because he's like, no, this is my castle, and neither of them leave. And it goes from there, and it's this lovely romance that I really enjoyed. The next Beauty and the Beast retelling is The Highwayman by Kerrigan Byrne. This is obviously a darker historical romance with that like Beauty and the Beast vibes. So Dorian Blackwell is kind of like this ruthless villain who will stop at nothing to get what he wants, but he obviously has this dark and damaged past, and he will stop at nothing to kind of get what he wants, to include revenge on those who have wronged him. And currently he wants Farrelly Mackenzie, who is a widow, and he kind of abducts her, kidnaps her, if you will. And he says it's for her safety. So she is actually holds a secret, and the people are after her for that secret. So Dorian offers her safety by giving her a marriage of convenience, and it goes from there. So he definitely is a beastly character. He kind of like takes her into the castle or into his like house far away, and it is very much Beauty and the Beast in that sense. So definitely Dorian is a damaged hero, but him and Farah are definitely soulmates. So the next type of retellings I have is like Greek mythology retellings. So I have a couple Hades and Persephone retellings, and the first one I have is by Katie Robert, and that one is Neon Gods, and that's the first one in the Dark Olympus series. So this one's like a modern retelling of Hades and Persephone. And so this one obviously follows Persephone, and she plans to flee Olympus, but because she's just sick of the politics and the backstabbing that is going on in Olympus, and she just wants out. However, her mom kind of ambushes her with this like arranged engagement to Zeus, but she doesn't want to be engaged to Zeus. She does not want anything to do with him. Like I said, she just wants to leave the city. So her only option left is to flee to the Forbidden Undercity, which she kind of makes a deal with the devil, as you will, which is Hades, to be in that city. So he allows Persephone to stay in the Undercity as like kind of this revenge towards Zeus, but obviously becomes much more as Hades and Persephone become closer. And it goes from there. I did enjoy this one. This is definitely a spicy retelling of Hades and Persephone. I have a graphic novel that is Lore Olympus, and this is another Hades and Persephone retelling. There's quite a few now of the graphic novel bind-ups. This used to be a webtoon, and then they obviously bound it up into books. It's like a contemporary reimagining, obviously, of the Hades and Persephone mythology. So Persephone is like a young goddess, and she comes to Olympus. Her mother has like raised her in the mortal realm, so she's kind of like a fish out of water in Olympus because of that. So she ends up going to a party one night with her friend Artemis, and that kind of changes her entire world because she meets Hades, and it goes from there. So check your trigger warnings on this one, but I really enjoyed this Hades and Persephone retelling, and I thought it was an excellent graphic novel. And the next one that's Greek mythology retelling is actually a Medusa retelling, and this one is Serpentine Valentine by Gianna Darling, and this is a sapphic dark romance. So this one is definitely a romance built on a bit of a revenge. This one was a really good one. Definitely check your trigger warnings. Next I have are some Cinderella retellings, and the first one I have is An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This is obviously a Cinderella retelling, and this one follows Benedict and Sophie. And Sophie is she is kind of a lady, but she is being forced kind of into the working class because her stepmother has kind of forced her into it. Like she treats her very horribly, and then one day she has to escape her home, and she goes and she becomes a maid, and has to obviously work to survive. And so one night her and Benedict kind of meet on a masquerade. Obviously, you know, stroke of midnight, she's got to go, and they kind of hit it off that one night, and he spends some time looking for her, but he never ends up being able to find her because, again, she has to flee. And then one night he is at a party, and he notices a woman kind of in distress, and he goes and helps her, and it does end up being Sophie. However, he does not recognize her, and it is their story. I really enjoyed this one. It was so good. I ended up giving it a 5-star because it was just, I loved how strong Sophie's character was, and I loved that Benedict was like pining for this woman because he just knew that she was it, and he kind of had this internal struggle of like, should I really like Sophie, but he thinks that Sophie isn't this woman he met at the masquerade, so he's kind of having that struggle, and then he finds out obviously eventually that that's Sophie, and you know what happens from there. I loved this one, so good. The next one I have that's a Cinderella retelling is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, and this one is part of the Meant to Be series that I think is written, each book is written by different authors. I really enjoyed this one because this one follows Cindy, and Cindy has lived in like New York, and she has gone to like design school, but she like designs shoes. It's time for her to kind of come back to California because I think she's struggling or something's going on in New York where she has to move back to California with her mom and her stepsisters. And honestly, I love the relationship between the mom and the stepsisters. In this one, it really throws a spin in it where they do have a good relationship. Her stepmom was like, hey, we need another person to come onto my reality show that's kind of like Bachelor-esque. And so she realized that she's met the hero previously, briefly on like a plane on her way back from New York to LA. It's definitely a cute retelling and like a twist or reimagining on Cinderella. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was such a good read. So the next one I have is of The Little Mermaid. I only have one, but that's The Ship of Bones and Teeth by Karina Halley. And so this is obviously a dark retelling of The Little Mermaid with some Pirates of the Caribbean elements. Princess Marin sold her soul to the Sea Witch, giving up her life underwater for the love of Prince Eric on land. However, Eric is a cruel prince, and Marin will do anything to reverse the spell to get back to the ocean and her family. An opportunity for her to escape presents itself when her and Eric are taken captive by pirates. So Captain Ramsey Bautista, or Captain Bones, has a reputation of having a haunted crew that no prisoners survive. Marin realizes Ramsey's out to get the Sea Witch too, and fate may have changed in her favor. I enjoyed the pirate aspect of this book so much, and it was very like atmospheric, and this was just such a good one. I love just how strong of a character Marin is, and there are a bit of some like twists that you find out towards the end or towards the middle of the book, so that I thought was pretty interesting. So definitely check this one out. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed Marin as a character. And obviously I loved Ramsey as well. He was a good match for Marin. The next one I have is like a Frankenstein retelling, and this one is Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne. And I just thought this one was such a unique retelling. It's like a historical rom-com that reimagines Victor Frankenstein's like sheltered younger sister and her attempts to create the perfect man. And it's really funny. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a cute one. I read it a couple of years ago over Halloween, during like October, and I thought that was the perfect time to read it. I have the 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, and that one is A House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This one follows Annalee, and she's realizing that her sisters keep on dying, and she's trying to figure out why, that maybe it's just not these accidents, and she starts to notice that they're kind of sneaking off in the middle of the night, and they go through like this realm to this realm, and they are dancing all night. So things start to seem strange, and Annalee's kind of having some disturbing visions. So Annalee kind of has to work together with this mysterious stranger to figure out what's going on before whatever has taken her sisters takes her. Like I said, it is very atmospheric. It is creepy at times. I enjoyed this one. I read it last year during October, during like the spooky season for me, and really enjoyed it. The next one I have is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and that one is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I loved this book so much. So Miriam is the daughter and granddaughter of moneylenders, but her father has like this inability. He's not very good at collecting his debts and has left his family at the edge of poverty. So Miriam kind of takes over, and she's going to go and collect the money and be like the moneylender for the family so that they can kind of get out of poverty. So she gains this reputation of turning silver into gold, which draws the attention of Astaric. So they're like grim fae creatures, and they live in like this ice realm, and like their realms kind of like go hand in hand, like the human realm and the Astaric realm. So one day they're out, and she makes a boast, intertwines her fate of the kingdoms, and the king of the Stark sets like an impossible demand or challenge on her. So she's kind of forced into this challenge that the Stark king has given her, and it's really like something she has to do. It's like you can't take no for an answer, and it weaves this web of multiple two girls or women, I guess, that she kind of help her along the way. Her and the other two girls kind of have to work together and become allies to kind of save both of the kingdoms. So those are the retellings that I've read. Let me know in the comments below which ones you have read. And if you just want to leave me an emoji letting me know you are here, go ahead and leave me any emoji that relates to a retelling that you enjoy. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. Bye!